Welcome to 8th House Portal. On this longest night of the year, we enter a darkness that is not to be feared, but understood. The winter solstice invites us into a rare stillness, a moment where the world hushes and the inner light becomes more visible than ever. Tonight we walk into that quiet together, not to escape the dark, but to let it reveal what only the dark can teach. And as we cross this threshold, I'm reminded of an old story, the story of the Cacao. On the longest night of the year, when the world stands still and the sun lies hidden behind the veil of darkness, there is an old story the land remembers, a story that very few speak of now, but one that lives in the bones of women, in the breath of winter, and in the deep dreaming of the earth itself. It is the story of the Cacao, the ancient winter hag, the stormbringer, the sculptor of mountains, the old one who carries the weight of the dying year. Her hair is long and wild, white as frost. Her staff can freeze a running river. She is the keeper of endings, the queen of the dark half of the year, and yet, even she cannot hold back the turning of the wheel. For on this night, the sacred night of nights, the Cacao feels time shifting beneath her feet, the deep pulse of the earth, the whisper of the unseen sun, the trembling of a new dawn waiting to be born. And so she begins her journey. She walks alone through the frozen heather to a place no map remembers. The well of youth, a small pool of black water hidden in a crack between two worlds. Some say the well was dug by the stars. Some say it is the womb of the earth herself. Whoever drinks from this water is touched by the fire of rebirth. The Cacao kneels beside the well. Her joints ache, her breath comes heavy. But tonight is different. Tonight she's ready to lay her burden down. She cups her hands, trembling but determined, and brings the dark water to her lips. As she drinks, the world holds its breath. The transformation is slow at first. Warmth spreads through her chest, soft as a candle flame. The frost melts from her hair, the creases loosen on her face. Her back straightens, her breath deepens. The weight of the old year dissolves, slipping from her shoulders like a heavy coat. Something ancient, something young and eternal. The Cacao becomes the maiden. She becomes Brigid, goddess of fire, hearth, poetry, healing, and the light that returns. The land does not thaw immediately. Winter still holds its quiet dignity. But beneath the soil, seeds awaken, roots begin to stir. A promise is made. The light is returning. And in this moment, this hinge between dark and dawn, the world remembers a truth we often forget. Even the oldest wounds can return to innocence. Even the deepest winter hides the pulse of life. Even the darkest night protects the spark of rebirth. And we too, like the Cacao, may release who we were and step into the warmth of who we are becoming. Tonight, the world is reborn. Tonight, so are you. I like how the founder of anthroposophy, Rudolf Steiner, he mentioned that in the darkest days of the year, the human soul can find the inner light that connects it with the cosmic sun. And it's kind of similar to something Manly P. Hall had said. He said, at the winter solstice, the sun dies and is reborn. And so too must the soul pass into its own darkness to discover the seed of its illumination. And that is very much the time that we are in right now. The winter solstice is the shortest day of the year with the longest night. It is when for the northern hemisphere, the earth tilts furthest from the sun, so there's less direct sunlight. There's temperatures that are colder, nights are longer. And this time has been honored for over 10,000 years across different cultures, with the themes of death and rebirth, the descent into darkness, a new cycle beginning, and the return of hope. The word solstice comes from the Latin sol, meaning sun, and stitium, meaning to pause or to stand still. So ancient astronomers, when they were looking up at the sun appeared to stop moving south, pause for a moment, and then begin to move northward again on the horizon. So that visual pause marks that exact moment of the solstice that they were witnessing. The ancient Egyptians celebrated the rebirth of Horus, the sun god, the falcon sun god, at the winter solstice. They made temples that were aligned to the sun that would illuminate the innermost parts of the sanctuary. And that would symbolize the emerging light from the womb of the goddess Isis. So themes of solar resurrection, renewal, divine order. And then, of course, in ancient Rome, they had Saturnalia and Sol Invictus. So Saturnalia, they would also light candles to bring back the sun. Sol Invictus is the celebration of the sun reborn. So again, themes of renewed cosmic order. And then things that traditions we are a little more used to now, the Norse and Germanic traditions with the celebration of Yule, where the Yule log is burned for 12 nights. Odin's wild hunt is a story we hear of. There were offerings to Freya to return the sun. Again, themes of protection, blessings, and ancestral contact were also part of the Norse traditions. And then you have the Celtic traditions. We've heard of the story of the Oak King defeating the Holly King. So that would be light winning over the darkness. Ceremonies in stone circles were had. And then, of course, the story of the Cailleach transforming into the maiden after drinking from the well of youth. Again, themes of renewal, sovereignty, and then the sacred creation of sacred time. Indigenous Maya and Mesoamericans used cacao as well. They had ceremonies tied to the solar calendar. They made rituals and offerings of cacao to their gods. Again, themes of cosmic alignment, renewal, timekeeping, and a balance of worlds. And in ancient Persia, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, there's a celebration called Yalda, an ancient celebration, one of the oldest surviving solstice traditions, actually, where people would stay awake all night to protect against the darkness. They would eat pomegranates and red fruits, symbolizing the return of the sun. So across all these themes, they're all universal. Whether they're continents divided by oceans, there was a theme for all of them. There's a descent into darkness, there's facing the shadow or the unknown, the rebirth of light, the return of the sun returning, and then fire as a symbol, whether that was burning a Yule log or candles or torches. So they're all connections across cultures. And the winter solstice was usually marked with fire, story, and ritual, but also with plant medicine, a gentle ally to help people often open their hearts and welcome the return of light. And one of the oldest of these allies is cacao. Just as a solstice is the rebirth of the sun, cacao is the plant that often helps us open and feel again and become more connected. It invites us into presence, into connection, and into warmth of our own inner light. So tonight, as we cross this threshold, I want to bring the wisdom of cacao, not as a trend, but as a sacred practice with deep indigenous roots and a profound emotional impact. And to help us explore this, I'm joined by someone who lives and breathes this medicine with deep integrity, a spiritual teacher, mystic, and the founder of Sleeping Serpent, a holistic platform dedicated to awakening one's full potential, creative and spiritual potential through ancient wisdom, movement, ceremonial practices. He's trained and certified in Kundalini yoga and is one of the original teachers of Kundalini dance in the UK and Europe. A teacher, a guide, and a true steward of cacao ceremony, Mark T.J. Keane. Mark, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast today, this episode.
Thank you so much, Annalene, for that wonderful introduction and for inviting me. Very happy to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. My first video, of course, like we talked about, didn't go too well with the technical difficulties, but this so far is going really well. Good sign. I was wondering, actually, I came across your courses. I was at the time searching for courses on cacao and trying to deepen my own knowledge of ceremony. And I found one of your many courses online. And I just want to know, where did your spiritual journey begin, whether that was just in general or with cacao?
Yeah, so my spiritual awakening began in 2003. I was living in London, and I'd been doing an awful lot of reading about ancient civilizations, particularly honing in on ancient Egypt, and then even more honing in on the Great Pyramid of Giza. And it was one particular night in 2003 that I really felt that I needed to know exactly why they built that pyramid. I wasn't that bothered about who, it was more what is the purpose of it. And it was that intensity of thought that particular night that caused me to have this spiritual awakening. Basically, I had all these thoughts in my head as I was brushing my teeth, all these ideas that I've been reading about. And in the end, as it was quite late, I thought I better go to bed and try and sleep. So, but because I was a bit wired in my mind, I decided to leave the light on. And this is very key, because as I lay back and began to relax and still my mind, I was staring at the light. And it was this round paper Chinese lantern that an electric light was flanked by. And then I decided, okay, let's switch off the light. And then about 2 minutes later, I shot out of bed and I realized, oh my God, it's all to do with light. And my whole body was flooded with light. My mind was flooded with light. I felt very connected to this spiritual light. It was very much a spiritual light that I hadn't really felt before. And that feeling lasted for 2 weeks. And it was in that moment that I realized not only the purpose of the pyramid, but this quest for enlightenment that I knew I needed to really understand. So it was quite unpredicted, I suppose. It wasn't something I was even looking for. It just happened literally overnight. And yeah, and basically I got guided to study alchemy and Kabbalah and practice Kundalini yoga, all within this 24-hour period. Like you were just saying, I was actually up right through the night, like some people do through the yawl, and that was there was no chance of sleeping. I just wanted to be with this light. And cut a long story short, a few days later, I went along to a Kundalini yoga class, and it amplified everything that I was feeling so much that I would estimate this feeling that was already life-changing was suddenly amplified by about 10 times.
Oh my
So
goodness.
if you can imagine, there was no question that this was something I would continue. So that's why 22 years later I'm still doing it.
Wow. That must have been some feeling, like, I'm assuming your heart was open.
Yeah,
like just flooded with light.
very open.
Wow.
Yeah, very in love with every small thing, everyone. A lot of gratitude and appreciation, all and just the miracle of life. But it was very much to do with love. Yeah.
Wow. There's I've heard people saying before that whatever they want to call it, but they specifically called it, they had the Holy Spirit, I guess, within them. I've heard things like that with the same type of emotions that you're explaining right now.
Yeah, I would say that would be a Christian way of describing what happened to me, for sure. Yeah, it felt like that, because it felt like I don't know where that light was really coming from, but it felt different from the Kundalini. Like it felt more of that divine ray, which I would akin to the Holy Spirit, like the dove that comes down. To me, that's more the opposing force to the Kundalini, which we more identify with something that rises up. But actually, it's so connected that it's hard to make that distinction, but that's how
Right.
I see it.
Yeah. The Kundalini energy, I would say, I think I may have experienced something a month ago
Oh,
with
that's good
that.
timing.
But
Amazing.
there's all these things that are popping up that I've heard of before, topics that, I hear in passing, but I didn't dive deep into them. And I've had this unshakable need to dive into certain topics like now, like right now. So
Yeah,
it's interesting.
it's very interesting to say the least. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I wanted to get into what ritual is, because cacao ceremonies are ritual. They're conducted with intention. They're done in a sacred space, as I learned from your course. And sometimes, you'll have music or candles. There's a whole preparation. I personally like listening to like meditative drum music. I like to infuse Reiki into my drink as well.
Yeah.
And I use Palo Santo before I begin. And then I like to have oracle cards. So I'll like at the end I'll pull like a card just for guidance for the
Yeah,
day.
that's a good idea.
What do you do, Mark, when you're doing your daily cacao rituals?
Yeah, you're right. It's all about intention, and it's the way to focus in on that intention is to make sure you set up sacred space. So sacred space is something primarily when we're just working on our own that we want to feel internally. If it's an external event, then you would be calling out the directions, primarily like north, east, south, and west, but also above and below and the center as well. And this is something that I still do every morning,
Like
and
just on your own?
on my own. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, but yeah. Because I face the north, and it's easy because I have a big window here looking out, which you can't see, which is faced the north. So it's kind of where I would naturally be orientating myself anyway. And it's really about locating yourself. It's going to sound strange. It's locating yourself in time and space, to access the timeless dimension. And it's through that portal of the timeless dimension that we can access the Kundalini as well. And then it's this when you're working with the cacao as an ally, a plant spirit ally, then it's allowing a door or a portal for that spirit to come through and to work with. So the more intention you can put into doing something, the more likely that it's going to have an effect, and it's more likely that you're going to attract help. It's really to do with clarity. The more clear that you can get, this is what I'm doing right now, this is what I'm asking for, and the sacred space really is so important because um, when when we tend when we're working with a cacao, let's say, it's going to amplify whatever you're with. So, like, let's say you were just in a bad mood and you just had a cup of cacao, but you were
Yeah.
feeling a bit grumpy. Um, you might get more grumpy. It's like there's no you need to set up the sacred space, and honoring the spirit, having the intention, connecting to your breath, connecting meditation, whatever it is, and then you take the cacao. That's going to get amplified. So that's why it's so important that you really are clear about what you want to be on the increase, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, it definitely makes sense. I think it takes time, especially for some people that are not used to sitting in that sacred space and focusing or having intention, right?
It takes
I,
time to cultivate and nourish that, but it's so important, and especially today where we have an invitation to be distracted in so many different ways. Let's
yes.
just say
Oh
that.
my goodness. Yes. Yeah. Actually, the past couple of weeks, so I try to meditate
Yeah,
every day, but
yeah,
the past, like last week and the week before, I was so distracted during meditation. My
yeah,
mind was wandering all over the place. It was awful.
yeah.
So it takes practice.
Yeah, it's the real challenge to to quiet and calm the mind, or it's it's just a matter of turning up sometimes and just doing your best. And some days, you know, it can get the better of us, the mind. But
Mm-hmm.
on the days that we're feeling calm and relaxed, that's when it's even more important to really take advantage of that space and really make it strong. And that you'll cultivate that sense of presence, which will then begin to filter in through every single day. So then it kind of smooths out the bad days more and more until you reach a sort of more of an equilibrium.
That makes sense.
That's the
So
plan.
I would say ritual is a moment where we step out of ordinary time and
Yeah,
into that sacred time, like a
yeah,
deliberate act of that transforms energy,
yeah.
honors the unseen, and it allows our soul to speak. So that inner wisdom that we're trying to reach, I guess.
That's perfect. I love the way you described that. Yeah.
Thank you. I did look into, because so this, you have to understand this podcast, it's me researching things that I really want to learn more about.
Yeah.
So I have notes and research and all this stuff around me.
That's great.
There was quite a bit of research in regards to the benefits of ritual. A lot of studies. One study called The Psychology of Rituals, an integrative review and process-based framework, mentions how rituals perform three functions: emotional regulation, supporting goal-directed performance, and strengthening social connections, which I think you see. I mean, you do groups. You see, I'm pretty sure you see that, right? You've done it for a long time.
That's right. Yeah.
And then a lot of other studies mention kind of the same thing, like the fact that rituals improve performance by decreasing anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and people perform better tasks better that were stressful.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I'm thinking of like athletes before they go out and compete, or people that go out on stage. There's kind of a ritual I see some people doing, whether they're praying and then the sign of the
Mm.
cross,
Yeah.
or like if you're into martial arts, like because you're so used to practicing martial arts, if you do something like that, for example,
Uh-huh.
you before a competition would kind of bring in your focus into what you're about to go into, and then I guess some deep breathing, and then really like pushing the focus, and then you open your eyes and you're ready. Those are, to me, those are rituals as well,
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
before stepping
definitely.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, we do them all the time. I mean, it's I think we're hardwired for ritual. We're certainly hardwired for habitual behavior. So the more that we can kind of take conscious, I don't want to say control, but be conscious about those habits and make them like positive rather than negative, then the more that we
Yes.
kind of do well in life in general. So,
Yeah, I agree. um, so the purpose, I don't know if you can talk a bit more about the kind of transformation that cacao ceremony is intended to help with, to support with.
cacao
So I can
ceremony
tell some
in
people that come
general
to
is, yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been using cacao for yeah, probably about 20 years, something like that, and then more intentionally over the last 15 years. And I guess I can talk mostly about myself. I mean, for myself, it's been mostly, as I say, partly an internal sort of sacrament that I do every day, just as a way of connecting first thing in the morning, and a way of bringing intentionality into the beginning of the day, because life is all about how we can get really clear about our intentions. So that's why it's better to do that at the beginning of the day,
Yes.
rather than the end.
Agree.
But really, it's an interesting one when you ask that question, because it makes me think, well, it could really be used for anything. I mean, the way I've always used it is, because of my background in Kundalini yoga and Kundalini dance. I tend to run these big events called Kundalini clubbing, and then we have that combination of Kundalini and
Very
Kundalini dance
unique.
work really well. What's that?
I said it's very unique.
It's very unique. Yeah. So for me, I have this way of working with the Kundalini in a kind of celebratory but also a ritualistic way, which I think works really well, because my attitude is that I feel drawn to do really deep work, really like serious work, you could say, really profound work. But at the same time, if we take it too seriously, then it's going to get too heady. It's going to get too dense. So I like bringing a sense of lightness to everything I do. So yeah, for me, I've used it with, you could call it sacred dance and yoga events and these sort of things. But it could really be used for anything. I mean, I wouldn't even want to put a limit to what it's used for. And obviously, it's hard to know exactly how it was used in Mesoamerica in ancient times. But what I see is that it's become the go-to plant medicine ally within the spiritual community across the world at this time. And I think because it's legal and it's safe and it's extremely good for you. There are very little side effects. For me, it's the limit is only your imagination, and there's no limits on imagination. So
yes, I love that. Yeah,
I think that's what I would say.
I love that description. I'd definitely say, supporting emotional release, or helping with becoming a more authentic self, and then honoring indigenous wisdom as well.
Of course, yeah.
And I remember you talked in your course about how cacao was used. So I also read that they were used for weddings, offerings, communal gatherings, and it was considered a bridge between people, creating harmony and allowing others to speak freely and honestly. What would you say, especially for people that are not used to cacao, what's the difference between ceremonial cacao and cocoa or hot chocolate, or just chocolate from the store?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because chocolate comes from choclatl, which was an Aztec word, whereas cacao is the Mayan word. So it's really, it is chocolate, but chocolate as we have it in our culture today is being refined, and I don't necessarily mean that in a positive way. I mean the process where they add an awful lot of things to it, like sugar, and they take a lot of the healing benefits out of it. So really, you want to be having raw cacao, in its pure form, whereas cocoa has gone through this refining process,
Right.
which probably has, I don't know if it has like no benefits. It probably still has some benefits, but it's less beneficial.
Yes.
Whereas ceremonial grade cacao is really probably akin to the way that it used to be used in Mesoamerica, is something that I became aware of by someone who was called the chocolate shaman, working out of Guatemala in a place called San Marcos La Laguna, which I've been to. Actually, I went there 3-4 years ago now, and unfortunately I found out when I was there that he had just passed away, so he's no longer with us in this dimension. He's more in the spiritual world, where we use this cacao to commune with. It'd be interesting if anyone's actually got any communication with him from the other side, because that is
really awesome.
Certainly something that I believe would be possible. But
yes,
so but having been there, this is a very Mayan place. It was very reaffirming when I went there, because I heard Mayan spoken widely by the indigenous Mayan people there, and I was quite surprised by that, because I don't think I actually realized that language was still in
use. Yeah.
So that really, and I don't even know how I recognized it as Mayan, but it was when I heard it,
You just knew.
I knew, yeah. So, this is before I was just lying in bed and I heard the language, and it had so many like clicks, and I was like, wow, that's Mayan. And I looked out and was like, oh yeah, they're Mayan. They were just builders, like helping with the hostel. So they're still there, which is very reaffirming as well. And so yeah, I think the ceremonial grade cacao that certainly Keith was instrumental at spreading to the West, like with this Mayan culture all around him. There's something about the way that it's tended and grown with ritual, with integrity, with working with the spirit as it's being made, you know. And this is always the way where, you know, in similar way you have like ayahuasca as well. When they're brewing it, you sing these icaros to the medicine for maybe like a whole week. So I mean, it's yeah, having not met him and not having actually gone there myself, but when he was still alive, I haven't got all the pieces to that puzzle, but certainly it's to do with the intention, I would imagine. But
Right.
you mentioned Steiner earlier, and there's a whole subject about biodynamic farming, which
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was going into it as well, which means you plant with the cycles of the moon and this sort of thing. I'm sure all of that goes into it as well. So it's a far cry away from the industrial farming that has pervaded the world for the last however long, few decades.
Yeah, biodynamic farming is it's fascinating. We tried doing it, and there is a difference. I mean, and then planting when certain planets are, you know, at a specific, you know, or the moon, using the moon. It's very interesting. Rudolf Steiner has a plethora of lectures that I still have to get through, but that's interesting.
Yeah,
I do find that ceremonial cacao is a lot more, because it's less processed. It's quite expensive to get a hold of.
It's very expensive compared to cocoa, and it's even expensive compared to getting organic cacao. I mean, organic cacao can be quite reasonably priced, but the ceremonial grade stuff is yeah, it's very pricey. And yeah,
I did have somebody that I guess she has a connection with Guatemala. She goes there to the farm, and I was getting my cacao from her, but I don't know where she's MIA. But so I was looking for another supplier, and I did find one here in Canada, in the province I live in. But and they're in the same province, like not far from where I live. I think it's there in Toronto. But then their website has US prices, which doesn't help. And then of course, like the shipping fee. So I was like, nope, never mind. I did find somebody else though. So when you find a good supplier at affordable rates, it's helpful.
it makes a difference. Yeah.
I wanted to just touch upon the biochemical properties that you can find in cacao, in ceremonial cacao. And then just to keep in mind that things that are more processed, like chocolate, cocoa, they will have all of these in them, all these components, just to a lesser degree. So I think the big one would be theobromine, being the main stimulant in ceremony. It increases blood flow, so it's a vasodilator. It also increases alertness, focus, improves memory, and it has neuroprotective effects. And I read a study, it said it was capable of alleviating brain tissue ischemia and hypoxia. And I guess that's just because when you dilate the vessels, there's going to be more blood flow, so more oxygen, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then preventing nervous system damage, promoting the repair and regeneration of brain cells. So that was interesting. I didn't know it did that. So there's definitely a significance for prevention of strokes and cerebral hemorrhage, I think. And then, of course, anti-inflammatory effects, which we all need.
Yeah, and healing the guts and things like that.
Yeah, the second brain. And that information can be found in so many different research articles, but there's one really good one if anybody wants to look into it themselves. It's called Health Benefits and Mechanisms of Theobromine from the Journal of Functional Food, and that's from April 2024. And I will have a link in the description for anyone that wants to read into that. And then, of course, caffeine. To a lesser degree, it's not like the same as a cup of coffee, but yeah, the caffeine works synergistically with the theobromine, actually, and it helps just provide more mental clarity, which I definitely need.
Yeah, without so much of the anxiety which you can get with coffee and things like that.
Yeah, I think there are some people that use cacao to come off of coffee.
Right.
I don't know if you've heard that, right?
Well, no, that would make complete sense. Yeah, I mean, because it's still a stimulant, but it's not as acidic and harsh, and doesn't have the same side effects. Although
Right.
coffee can be arguably good in small
Yeah,
amounts.
there are benefits. Yeah, yeah. I
But
definitely think I drink too much coffee, though.
yeah, I would say too much. Well, too much of anything can. You always
Right.
have repercussions, I suppose. Anything in moderation, but yeah, as far as I know, it's the healing benefits of cacao far outweigh coffee. But I mean, I haven't heard of ceremonial grade coffee. I mean, I'm sure that would be an interesting one to look at.
Yeah, it would. And then you have there's another one called phenylethylamine.
Wow. Okay.
I think there's another name for this. People have given it another name, but anyway, it acts on the central nervous system as a stimulant for
Oh,
humans.
that's good.
Enhances motivation, pleasure, and the feeling of being connected. So when you're having your group ceremonies, you already have that feeling of connection because you all are physically there. But then you've got the cacao
as well,
creating more cohesion, I guess, within the group.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And we always come into a circle and then like share about who we are, where we come from, why we're here, and things like that. And yeah, I think it just seems to work to enhance that connection. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And then there's flavonols. So they are known for their antioxidant properties and found in various plant foods like kale. They're anti-inflammatory, improve circulation and cognitive function, and vascular health. And then cacao has a number of different minerals. One of them, I'll just touch on one, magnesium. That helps with relaxation, muscle tension release, and it promotes a calmer nervous system as well. And then tryptophan.
Ah, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, an essential amino acid. So it's a building block of protein. So it means that your body can't make it itself. You have to get it from your diet. So you can get it from like animal sources like chicken, cheese, eggs, fish, or oats, nuts and seeds. And that eventually gets converted into serotonin.
Yeah,
which is said to help prevent depression.
Yeah, serotonin is the feel-good
Yeah.
chemical,
Yeah, there's quite a few studies done on tryptophan and depression. So, definitely, if people are interested, should read into that.
Yeah.
But I would say all of these bioactive components that I've mentioned and the ones I haven't, they're all, I guess, contributing to opening the heart, increased intuition, emotional release, and that sense of connection and just like a literal physical relaxation. And also because I know people, some people like to have a connection to science, and I'm trying to give it here. These studies, these studies are the scientific backing for that cacao isn't just symbolic. It's evidence that the plant supports real physiological and mental well-being. So it makes it a very powerful. It makes it powerful for transformation, whether healing and inner work. I wanted to touch upon intention again. I know you already spoke about it, and you said something I was going to bring up anyway. So thank you. There's a quote from somebody I find quite interesting, and it goes, "Magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will," and that's by Aleister Crowley from Theory and Practice. So if you have no will or intent when carrying out your ritual, the ritual has no power because there's no focus, right? There's no intention.
Yeah, that's true.
I find some of these quotes, I completely understand them. What would you say shifts in our psyche when we sit with cacao intentionally?
What shifts in our psyche? Well, the main purpose of cacao sitting with intention is that it opens up this portal to the sacred, and from there, you know, you start to work with the spiritual dimension. I think you mentioned oracle cards. I usually pull an angel card because for me, the angels are like the highest messengers which work between the other side and this side that we find ourselves to be experiencing. So yeah, the theobromine you mentioned is really points to that as well. That theo means God, that it opens up to the divine, and I think the egoic part of us is the part of us that likes to preserve the status quo and stay in control, and this is where all of our problems lie, where we get over attached to the ego and to control. So the more that we can actually humble ourselves and open ourselves up to something greater and actually ask for help, because that takes some humility to actually say, I need some help on this. I haven't got all the answers. Surprise, surprise. And so I think it's we're all in this together, aren't we? And it's a way of opening up, a way of connecting, a way of quieting the ego, and then being in the synergy and flow of the divine, that with our intention. So it's that's the way I see it, as opening up that magical portal.
Yeah, I think we come to that. That was well said. I think we come into points in life where sometimes some of us want to be in control with every little part, and you have to, sometimes you'll be pushed, actually, whether you like it or not, at some point, to just give in and give up, you know, and allow the divine to step in as well.
Yeah, it's a dance, you know. I mean, that's the thing. It's like we can have an intention, but actually, do we actually know what is the best for our highest good? Like,
right.
Maybe our intention isn't a very good intention. I mean, so I think it's always been open to receive wisdom and higher guidance, and being willing to be open to opportunities when they arise as well, if they're slightly different from what we have in mind. Because I do believe that we all have a purpose, like a destiny. We come here for a reason, and the problem is we get our memories wiped when we come down here. So part of the job is to remember what that is, and so which seems a bit crazy, but that's just the game that we choose to play.
It's awful that we forget everything when we come here.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't work if we remembered. It wouldn't have the same opportunity for growth if we remembered everything. Like it just you know. So it's part of the way things are set up here, that you just forget everything, and then it's like you follow the breadcrumbs back home, and it's like, can I actually make the right choices? Can I actually find my way to be moral, to be good, to live a spiritual life, despite everything stacked up against me, almost like not remembering anything. Everyone say, you know, this, you know, it's like being in the candy store. It's like, and having all these temptations all around you, and it's like, will you choose the divine above all of these distractions? And it's so where everyone around you is saying, you know, basically, there's no God, there's no karma, there's nothing to worry about, there are no consequences, do what you want. And it's like, will you still make the right choice? Because actually,
that's a lot.
In time, I think we realize that there are consequences to our actions. We begin to make the connections.
Yeah.
And then so it actually becomes easier to make the right decisions. I can't remember what the question was. I went on such a tangent.
That's okay. We'll let this flow. We'll flow. Funny you said sometimes we have to accept certain opportunities that come. It may not be what we thought we would want to do. And that's been happening a lot the last couple of years for myself anyway. Right. Kind of leaving the realm of healthcare as a cardiac nurse, and then being offered, you know, other opportunities for things that I enjoy doing. Just kind of leads into another path that you were not expecting, but it actually is leading towards your destiny.
Yeah.
But you have to also be discerning, of course, when you have certain people coming at you, you know, requesting your time or energy. That's one thing that I have to work on, is being more discerning of people that soak up my energy. So that's one of the things I'm working on.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big one.
Yeah. For people that want to maybe start doing cacao ceremony or ritual every day, or just to try it out,
Yeah.
what can they use? Does it have to be ceremonial, or can they maybe get like dark chocolate, you know, 75% cacao, or powder, something a little cheaper?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would say if you can, I mean, I don't know what it's like where you live. Where I live, it's relatively easy now to get organic cacao relatively cheaply, but maybe the UK is actually a particularly good place for that, because it's not necessarily going to be the case everywhere. So I suppose if you can't find cacao in the shops, and if you can't, for whatever reason, get it online, because I know some places are limited in that regard as well. I've been to many places like that. Then yeah, I would say very dark chocolate is gonna, obviously the darker the better. I mean, you get your
90%.
green and blacks or things like that are probably the most common one, well, that I know of in this country anyway. But yeah, I agree with you. But you know, it's if you can have the word cacao instead of cocoa, then that's good. And if it's got the word organic in it as well, that's even better.
Even
And then,
better.
you know, the ceremonial grade thing is for special occasions, perhaps not every day.
Maybe that's how we should look at it sometimes. And then sometimes I add like cinnamon or cardamom.
Yeah.
I think I remember you saying you add chili to yours in the
chili
lectures.
With the metabolization process, and chili was specifically used by the Mayans and the Aztecs in Mesoamerica. So, you know, we know that because they found that, I think, in the archaeological record, more than, I don't know if it's an unbroken lineage or anything. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. And I know some people are thinking, well, how can I use this? Like, what would be the purpose? I wrote a list of things that one could use, I guess, this ritual, this cacao ritual, and how it relates to transformation.
Yeah.
So if it's something you want to release, I know around Samhain, I did like a release ritual with fire outside. I wrote something down that I wanted to like release.
Yeah.
And, you know, I focused, I had intention, and then I put it in the fire.
Yes.
Of course, in a safe way. So if there's something you want to release, or a person or an event, or just welcoming the light within yourself and the world, or releasing the heaviness of the last cycle and allowing space for more positivity into your life, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I do all the time, using the fire. And I mean, this is more for public events as well, but I did one a while ago. We did exactly that, you know, get a big fire in the center of the circle, everyone's gathered around, and opening up the directions. And then it's a very common one to when you're letting go of something, is to write it on the paper, because the paper you can throw into that fire and let it burn. And it's almost like when you're having cacao, you're working with your inner fire, which is, you know, okay, it's your metabolism, it's your digestion, but it's this spiritual fire of transformation which we work with in alchemy, you know, which the alchemists were known as the philosophers of fire, and that fire was known as the secret fire, or the philosopher's fire. And so that's really what I would say is the Kundalini as well. So I prefer that, because Kundalini is a bit of a strange word, whereas secret fire sounds a little bit more familiar and intriguing, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like the cacao is almost born to work with this particular fire.
Absolutely.
It's both working with transformation.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That opening your heart, finding inner guidance, like you mentioned, like working from within, or welcoming abundance and growth. So, you know, for the winter solstice, you want to bring in something new, let go of the old, and anything, and honoring the lessons learned, right?
Right.
But only carrying forward what serves you, what strengthens you.
Yeah, I want to jump in there and say what I'm getting there is that we want to be working with the spiral, rather than the circle, because if we're just going to go around the circles if we don't actually learn the lessons. But if we learn the lessons, then we're going to be able to move forward as we cycle around the year as well. So yeah, so because things are going to come around again no matter what, but can we move forward during
Exactly.
that? That's the challenge, I would say, of life.
Yes, I've seen so many people in real life that don't learn the lessons, and they're just in a circle.
Yeah.
They don't see it.
I think the more that you go around in a circle, it's almost like the harder it's going to be to actually step off it, because you're making those neural pathways stronger and stronger and stronger, and whatever has triggered that journey. So there's when you get triggered, there is an invitation to do the work. Where there's an invitation. Okay, now a process has begun. The alchemy has begun. The problem is we don't recognize that this is an invitation into an alchemical process, and so we get stuck on the first and second part of the alchemical process, and just keep on going over and over again. I can't believe he did that. I can't believe she said that. Why would they do so? I wouldn't do it. That's
what I'm working on right now. My initial reaction. I have to go, okay, hold on.
These are familiar
what am I gonna do?
mind, and I don't even know what's going on for you or the listeners or viewers' lives, but I mean, this is the way that the mind operates inside me and inside everyone, and it keeps you stuck until you make a choice to get off the merry-go-round and say, I take responsibility for this, and I have the capacity to forgive whoever has hurt me, and also to ask for forgiveness as well for whatever part I played. And it's then that there's a huge opportunity to expand to the next challenge, because the life will keep bringing around more challenges, but it will just keep on going. Like, there's no way around it. You have to sort of make that choice, otherwise you'll never get off that merry-go-round. And I think some people, I would suggest, not wanting to trigger anyone right now, but that some people take these things to their grave, and it will actually kill you eventually, because these things fester in the body. The more that we repeat them in the mind, and I believe that this will cause cancer and all sorts of things like that.
Yes, I agree.
If we internalize that degree of, let's say, anger or bitterness or resentment. So that's another reason why it's so important to actually take time out and to step off that wheel and actually work with the fire of transformation and letting go. Another word for letting go might be forgiveness. I think forgiveness is something more and more I feel drawn to, and I think I didn't even used to like the word. It's like
that can be hard for some people.
Yes, it's a challenge. So it's just like, maybe it's an interesting one just to meditate on. How do you feel about that word? What's your relationship to that?
It's interesting that you mention all these things, because there are things that I've experienced recently. So like the whole fire ritual where I wrote down what I want to release. I had to also have compassion as I released that, which was very difficult, actually.
Compassion for yourself or for somebody else or for something else.
Yes, that was interesting. I didn't realize how difficult that was for me. But I would say also aligning, another way of looking at the transformation process with Cacao is aligning your heart, your mind, and your actions with who you're becoming, which is what I'm trying to do. now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, what would my future self do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the way I see it is that we, when we're stepping outside of time, we're getting closer to the part of ourselves which is already always outside of time, which is the soul, and the soul is operating from that frequency of the timeless. And um, it's like that's where we begin from in life, and it's where we end. And in life, we can get distracted from that truth of who we really are. So it's like more and more can we get in touch with that part of ourselves, that original source, I suppose, and beginning to inform ourselves from that place. And I think that's what we grow into, and I think that's what life is all about. And for some reason that we get an awful lot out of regrowing ourselves back to where we started
Hmm.
from in the first place, that we can't really do, unless we
Yeah.
come down here, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much to learn. I've been
Yeah.
going to these lectures at Waldorf School, close to where I
Right.
live.
Okay. Yeah. I've
So
heard of that.
all the Rudolf Steiner lectures, and gosh, there's so much to learn. Just like learning about each person having their own angel that tries to guide them, and then
Okay.
the archangels up there that
Yeah.
guide groups of people. It was really
Yeah.
interesting.
Hierarchy.
There's just so much to learn. And you
Yeah.
have so many courses that I love.
Yeah. I've got like 37 or 38, perhaps. Maybe now I've created another one recently, which is free. So yeah,
Mm,
probably 38 or so. Yeah. It's quite a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, you have such a wealth of knowledge about all of these topics. I will be putting a link in the description for people that would like to, check out your website. Um, have you, because you hold these group ceremonies, have you witnessed anything interesting during ceremony, during winter solstice, or any other, I guess, solstice ritual celebrations?
Anything interesting? Um, like what?
Like if somebody comes in at the beginning, maybe somebody you're not familiar with,
Uh,
do they seem quite different by the end of it?
yeah, that's definitely the case. So, I mean, I would say for myself, like I always feel an awful lot better out of doing these ceremonies, running these events, even just running a class like a Kundalini yoga class. It's a ceremony in and of itself, and you know, each one of these invitations is a journey where however you start, you end up where you want to be. So it's like if you go in stressed, agitated, uh, anxious, might even be plagued with self-doubt, self-criticism. All of these things are common. I mean, for me as well, because I'm a human being. So it's like I'm not immune from this. But every time, it's almost like as soon as I step into that arena, that mostly passes away. And then by the end of guiding this journey for everyone, I'm also going on that journey as well. And then it's like I feel the benefits from that. And it's just extraordinary. I mean, I think that's why I do what I do, because it just is so beneficial for me as well. And I think there's something about a group energy where you come together in a circle, you create an energy field, which is another way of amplifying the the internal experience that you can't always do on your own. You know, this is why it's good to come together in community. And there's something so reaffirming by realizing how similar we all are, because as I say, we're all human beings. We all have a left brain and a right brain, and a negative mind and a positive mind and a neutral mind, and well, you know, and I think it's just so reaffirming when you share in public what is going on for you. You see yourself in each and every other person like a mirror, and it's just, you realize, oh, it's not just me that has all these crazy eccentricities, like we all do. And then then you realize you're not alone. And the more time we spend alone just with our own thoughts, you can feel like the whole world's against you and you're just this crazy person that no one can ever understand. And that is what the ego likes, that sense of like, I'm different, I'm separate,
Yes.
nobody could possibly understand me, you know.
Ego's
You know,
gonna go.
so the more you can get it. Yeah, so there's always a transformation. Yeah, and I think it always surprises me that everyone ends up feeling so healed, so aligned, so activated, so serene, so connected. Yeah, and people do often get have experiences. They might go out of body sometimes. That was something that happened to
Oh
me
wow.
in a festival um this summer. Yeah, like that really surprised me, that they actually left their body. Then they told me that is something that they do anyway, so it's not like the first
Oh,
time.
astral projecting
Yeah, that really surprised me
in
because
the
that,
middle of a festival.
yeah, it was a healing field. So, you know, again,
Okay.
I keep mentioning this, but the healing field is in a circle of bell tents and all yurts, and there are, you know, little temples all in a circle essentially, where each one is doing some sacred work, and it just so happens that I'm
Okay.
doing the loudest thing in that circle at that time, so it's everybody sort of getting the benefits of what I'm bringing, because I bring a lot of noise when I do my events. Is because with the dancing you just can't do that.
Right. Yeah. Kundalini dance.
So yeah, no, I had somebody like actually contact me afterwards and thank me. She said she was massaging someone and she actually paid me money. She said, you don't know who I am, but I was in the tent next to you when you were doing the Kundalini dance. She said that me and my clients got so much benefit from the energy that was coming into the space from what you were doing. I just need to just give you some
Wow.
money to say thank you so much, like, you know, because I
That
felt
energy field
their
went way
healing.
out.
I
Yeah.
wasn't even, I don't even meet this person, so you never know what you know, because the ripples could be when you're doing this can even extend
Exactly.
beyond the people that you see. Is
And
incredible.
affecting everybody around you without realizing it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
It was a few days later, and she just managed to get my number and say, yeah, and say thank you, and I really want to give you some money. I was like, yeah, I wish that happened to me more often.
You see all that hard work. That's great.
But no, that's so. Yeah, I think it's countless. It's very rare that somebody would not have that experience of transformation. It's very,
Right.
very rare. Um, yes, yeah,
Okay. Thank you. Did you want to do a little mini cacao ritual?
yeah.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm gonna use my phone. That'll be easier. So yeah, I've got my cup here, just so you know. Got a little hat on it, keeping warm.
Nice.
Um, so I'm just going to close my eyes for a minute and just connecting to source, putting my feet on the ground, connecting to the earth, taking a nice deep breath in, and exhaling out, relaxing, letting all the weight fall down into the earth. And okay, so I'm just going to put my eyes again and just going to point this magical wand, into the direction of the north and open up the direction of the north and call in the elements of the earth. When we're working with cacao, we're working with the earth element. The cacao is very similar to the earth. It's this brown substance, so we can connect in this way when we're drinking the cacao to our physical body, to feel grounded, to feel secure, to feel safe, and most importantly, just feel this sense of belonging. Like I belong here, and you know I'm here for a reason. So yeah, as we point this wand in the direction of the north, the gateway to the north is open. I'll say Arwen.
Amen.
And then to the east, I'm just going to call in the element of air. This is a good opportunity to take a breath in and just open up some space inside and some grace, and just allow that sense of clarity to arise. When we create a sense of inner space, which is what we're here to do, to cultivate this sacred space, then we can begin to become less caught up in the mind and just to get a higher and more expanded view, a higher perspective. So thank you to the wisdom of the winds that come in and blow us in the right direction, to blow away the cobwebs of the past and to allow us to set sail in the direction of our intention. The gateway to the east is open. Owen.
Amen.
To behind me, I'm just going to put it over my shoulder. Just opening up the gateway to the south. Now here we're going to bring in the element of fire, which is the great purifier, to alchemize all that no longer serves us, to initiate this alchemical process of transmutation. So we will take our intention and allow it to do the work of purification and alignment, and to whatever it means to you, this fire is going to set the intention. So thank you to the element of fire. The gateway to the south is open. Amen.
Amen.
And the last cardinal direction here to my left, it's the west. We're going to call in the element of water. So, as we're getting ready to drink our cacao, we're working with the element of water. Now, our bodies are made of water, and we are honored to be in these watery bodies that are this vessel, this container for all of this alignment to spirituality, to our spiritual nature that we're here to connect with. So when we're working with cacao, when we're working with elements of water, when we're calling in this direction of the west, we're allowing things to flow in the way that they need to and unfold in a way that transcends the ego, and we trust and surrender to that flow of the divine and the divine goddess. The gateway to the west is open. Amen.
Amen.
Let's go up. So I'm just pointing my wand upwards, and this is obviously where we can bring in this angelic realm, higher guidance from above, and just opening up that portal to source, to all those that watch over us from that higher perspective. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your grace. You honor us with your presence. We can be connecting internally to whatever that means to us as I'm speaking these words. The gateways to the heavenly portal are open. Owen.
Amen.
I'm turning the wand down now to what lies beneath, which is that other place. We might call it the underworld or the other world. Here in the land of Britain, we call it Anun. And this is a place where we can honor our ancestors. We also honor the ancestors of the land where the cacao has come from. And it's a place to feel connected to the other side, and be reminded of where we have come from and where we will one day return to. And our ancestors have already been on that journey before us. So it's just remembering that sort of wider context of life. And we mentioned also a little bit about the shadow, and I'll just say that perhaps as part of this ritual, the opportunity to use the cacao for transformation, we can use that inner light, that secret fire, might call it, to illuminate the shadow, so we can bring that darkness into light, to shine out into the darkest corners of the recesses of our mind, our subconscious mind, and even into the unconscious mind. The gateway to the other world is now open. Owen.
Amen.
Yeah, and then I'll just invite you to bring the hands at the heart. You could have I'm just going to hold. Actually, I'm going to bring my cacao into this as well. Just hold it here, and so we find ourselves up here at the heart center now, the heart chakra, anahata chakra, and this is really important because it's like this is how we can access our soul, our unique soul vibration. So there's an essence of who we really are that is always shining, and it never dies, never fades, never dwindles. This light will never go out. This light you can trust. If there's one thing that you can trust, it's this connection that you make when you open the heart, which the cacao will facilitate, and that we are facilitating as we together co-create the energy field of this ritual of the winter solstice. So whatever helps you to feel love in this moment, maybe it's your pet, or maybe it's a loved one, or maybe it's just the love of life, that's also going to help you. And then just reminding yourself of what your intention is. So here we are in this place in the heart, at the center of all things, opening up the potential to transcend the boundaries of time and space. Whatever time it is, the time is always now. And we are reminded that we are eternally present to ourselves as an immortal soul having this human experience. So just feeding into your intention now, whatever it is, hold that in your cacao. I'm just going to put that wand down, and I'm going to take the little hat off the cup here, and maybe I just use the wand to charge up the cacao, but you can be using your hand, and just because I have the wand, I thought I would use it. And if you're not familiar with Reiki, I mean, I know you are, Annalene, but if the listeners or viewers aren't familiar with Reiki, Reiki is just an energy that passes from the hands usually. And I would say that is also, I don't know if you would agree, but it's a lot to do with intention, that the energy will flow, whether you're aware of it or not. And really, Reiki training is more about tuning into that and feeling it and recognizing that it's real, but the energy will be flowing anyway. So we're charging up the cacao, we're feeling into that intention. Maybe I'll just say what my intention is, because it might help. I'll say, because we've been talking about it, my intention is to open my heart and to work with forgiveness, to forgive myself if ever I feel that I fall short on the high standards that I set for myself in accordance with my destiny. So I forgive myself for sometimes not having the patience to already be in the future. So that's what's just come through, which I didn't expect. So that's nice.
That's good.
Oh, well.
Oh.
I don't know if you want to say your intention before. Yeah.
My intention is for myself to connect my mind, my actions into who I am becoming and who I'm meant to be, but also to make sure I connect with many people regardless of distance.
Beautiful. So we hold the space for each other, and for anybody that's also working with the cacao, we're holding the space for you as well. So together we amplify this field. So together, by the power of our collective intention, it makes it even more likely that it will manifest. So thank you. Good luck on your journey. We can just take a few sips of the cacao. I'd like to place one hand on my heart actually, and then just And I'll just say it's probably good to have a few moments silence and just connect with the breath as well. Allowing space for you to feel the energy shifting and trusting that the work has already begun. The work will continue even beyond this ceremony. And when we work with faith and trust and surrender, three words which are connected, then we can begin to flow in the river of life and the synergy and synchronicities that show us that we're on track. That's probably, let me know when you're complete. So we'll close the direction. I really felt that actually. I didn't really want to leave. We'll close the circle down now, very brief, because I went into a lot of detail at the beginning. And obviously, what you'll notice is that the feelings can continue, but it's good to close down to sort of contain the energy. So as I started with the north, I'll end in the north and just honoring the earth that we've drunk with the cacao. So we've reminded ourselves that we are not only on the earth, we're not just visitors here on this planet. We are of the earth. We are the earth. Thank you. We bless you and release you. The gateway to the north is closed. Amen.
Amen.
To the east, as we take a breath again, one last time. And out, just honoring the winds of change and trust that we are now setting sail in the direction and that the old are being blown away by the winds of change and the new are being blown in our direction. The fresh breeze of positive change is already coming through the portal that we have opened in the gateway to the east. The gateway to the east is now closed.
Amen.
To the south, to the fire, we trust that the transformations and transmutations have now taken place and will continue to take place. So thank you to the wisdom of fire. The gateway to the south is closed, Amen.
Amen.
And to the west, to the waters that we feel in our watery bodies. Thank you for allowing this ritual to flow so beautifully, for reminding ourselves to get out of our own way and just to go with the flow. The gateway to the west is closed. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you to those that came through from the portal that opened up at Source, the heavenly portal, we called it. To the messengers, the angels, to all those that hear my voice and our collective intention, thank you for your presence, for your grace, for your assistance. We bless you and release you. The gateway to the heavens closed for this ceremony. Amen.
Amen.
And to the other world, we talked about the ancestors. Again, just thank you to the presence of our ancestors, to those that came through to bear witness to this ritual, to this transformation to whoever it's touched around the world. Thank you to the deeper connections that go beyond even this world to the other world. We trust that the shadows will begin to be illuminated right now and continue to be illuminated until we shine the brightest light that we can possibly shine whilst still in an earthly body. The gateway to the other world for this ritual is now closed, Darwin.
Amen.
Yeah, and again, it's really coming to the heart center and just feeling that really good about the ceremony that we've done, the little solstice ritual, that sense of like the sun is reborn from the solstice forward, we too are reborn into this moment, into this breath, into this opportunity to connect to our essence, which shines from the eternal and immortal soul that we really are. We are blessed as the portal opens up in time to take the time and space to also feel that internally. So with that said, we've no need to close the heart, because it's for me, I like to keep it open, but it's the safety of closing all the directions that really matters. The temple is now closed, Arwen.
Amen.
So yeah, as you can see, it can be very simple, and it's the words that you choose to use and the meaning that you choose to give it. There are different places in the world that might have different correspondences to the northern hemisphere. We have earth, air, fire, and water, but I think it's different in the southern hemisphere. So
Right.
yeah,
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for that mini cacao ceremony.
yeah, it was lovely.
It was beautiful. I felt the energy there.
Me too. I was surprised,
everybody that joins does too.
I was surprised by how strong that was. So
yeah,
I think that's must have a lot to do with you as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. As we come to the end of this episode, don't forget to subscribe, like, share the channel, and follow us for updates on special guests and episodes, and also follow Eighth House Portal on Instagram. I also want to give Mark's website. Please check out Mark's website, sleepingserpent.com. You have so many events and workshops happening. There's a men's retreat I saw that you do things like that as well still.
Yeah, sometimes work with men. I have a New Year's Eve event for anybody who can get to the UK, the Kundalini Clubbing. We have in Bristol, we have a New Year's Eve event every year. And yeah, I've just launched Mark's Magical Mystery School as a way of keeping all of those 38 courses together, and you can join a membership and subscribe to that. And that means you don't have to buy each of the courses. You can just have access to them all. And there's an online community which is new as well, which you can be in and get my daily support and guidance with all of those courses. And also planning on having live events in as well. So that's how that's been evolving as well. It's all accessible through Sleeping Serpent.
Yeah, I love that. I love the membership option. And unfortunately, I'm not in Bristol. But if I go back to the UK at any point, I'm definitely going to be planning around one of your events. So if anybody's going to be around, check out Mark's website or send him an email. Is there anything else, Mark, that you wanted to mention?
No, that's pretty much it. Thank you for giving me that.
Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely if you're interested in going a bit more in depth with Cacao Ritual, check out Mark's website. He has all the courses there.
Yeah, I've got one specifically on Cacao. It's how to chocolify your life and host your very own cacao ceremony. I added the very bit to the title. Yes. But that's basically the name of the course.
Yes, that's the one I did. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Mark, for entering the portal. And I
Thank you.
hope to do this again in the future with a different
Absolutely.
topic. Yeah, absolutely. Now, as we close this winter solstice gathering, let us carry forward quiet truth revealed in the dark. That light we seek has always been an interior flame, patient and enduring. The cacao, the breath, the intention, the ritual, these are simply instruments that help us to hear what our soul has been whispering all along. May you walk from this moment with a steadier heart, a clearer will, and a deeper reverence for the cycles that shape us. And as the sun begins its long return, may your own inner light rise with it, calm, certain, and unmistakably yours. Thank you for entering the portal tonight. Take care.